to another episode of Hessy and Maven. I'm Justin.
I'm Raven.
And on this week's episode, we are going to be talking about our top 5 favorite sort of like celebrity chefs, specifically from the Food Network.
I told Josh we were doing this episode, and he laughed and was like, why are you talking about Food Network? And then I had to explain to him that our family has a long history with the Food Network.
Yes.
And how we would always watch it growing up because it never had any scary movie commercials.
Yes, I was going to bring that up. I used to watch Food Network into the early mornings, and we'll get more into it. 2 of my choices are because of that. Mm-hmm. I used to watch into the early hours of the morning because, and it was around the time that you still are afflicted with this mental illness, where I was a part of it. Can't go to sleep without a TV on.
Yeah, I no longer sleep with the TV on.
Now you've transferred it to the root of the issue, which is you need sound.
Yes.
In order to go to bed. You can't go to bed in silence.
And I need people talking. I've tried music.
Oh.
And I've tried like YouTube has like a bunch of videos that are like hypnotic sleep music like to put on.
I got that.
That does not work. It has to be people talking.
Right.
So I now listen to sleep podcasts. And they're just people with beautiful soft voices who just lull me to sleep every night.
When I get up in the morning and I walk by your room, and I just hear, and don't forget that you deserve this sleep. You're worthy of sleep. It's going to be a good sleep because you're a good person. And I'm like, Jesus. And
that's what I need now.
It's valid.
It was a long road to get there, though.
Yeah.
Like, I needed the TV for my entire life because Mommy passed down the mental illness to me. And then...
That's all right. Dad passed down onto me, tying my shoes with bunny ears.
Yeah, I have that one, too.
Yeah, we got dealt shit hand. Thanks, guys. Thanks, parents.
And then there was a time in my life when I moved to Florida when I didn't have cable. So then I had to fall asleep to, like, Netflix, or I actually had a DVD player and I would put DVDs on. The problem is that they stopped playing
and
a certain amount of hours through, and I would wake up. And then
I never had it that bad.
Yeah, I would have to restart whatever it was, and it was a nightmare. So then I fell asleep to curated, by yours truly, YouTube playlists. I would make playlists of very long YouTube videos, most often John Oliver episodes.
Yeah. Slightly closer, just a little bit.
John Oliver episodes, just like random YouTube videos that were very long, a lot of the Try Guys. And can you not hear me?
I can hear you perfectly. I'm looking at the sound waves and now it's perfect.
Okay.
Keep talking exactly as you were talking. Sorry, gang. Little tiff behind the scenes.
And that worked for a while, but it was like awkward to explain to people who were sleeping over that I had to sleep with my laptop by my face.
Yeah.
And a YouTube playlist had to play.
What would you do if you slept at other people's houses?
That's what I would do.
Oh, yeah.
I would bring out my laptop and I would put it right by my face wherever I was. When I sleep at other people's houses, it's not that bad because if I'm at like a girlfriend's house, like Alyssa knows this by now and she's an angel. But like other female friends' houses, I don't like to sleep in the same bed as people because I feel like your head germs are on your pillows. It's a whole thing. Yeah. So I normally just sleep on the couch alone, and then people aren't bothered by my noise that I need.
There you go.
So I tried to phase out of that, and then I discovered sleep podcasts, and now I need them or I'll die. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that you found them, but
back in the day, it was Food Network.
Yeah, it brings us back to the meat of this episode, Food Network. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's always been a big part of our life. We used to watch it as a family sometimes, and like always watch the different things, all kinds of stuff. Mm-hmm. But Food Network was huge, And not so much. I mean, at least not for us. We barely watch Food Network ever nowadays. And
it's hard because it's a lot of competition shows, which I don't like. In any context, I don't like competition shows.
Neither do I.
It's too stressful.
Neither do I. I'm not a big fan. Sometimes I'll watch Chopped, but rarely. It's more like it's on and somebody else is watching it, and then I kind of get into it.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I'm not. It is what it is. But that's why most of my picks, at least, are pretty nostalgic, kind of.
Mine are too.
Bringing us back. But before we get into it, a couple of housekeeping items I want to bring up. So, right off the top, I will say this. We, as you know, have a YouTube. And we have a TikTok. Check them out. It's Hessy and Maven, one word. We're going to be doing bunch of cool stuff on both of those apps that are unique to those apps. So posting some stuff on TikTok that's only going to be able to be found on TikTok, and then also posting a lot of stuff and content to our YouTube that will really only be able to be seen on YouTube. So definitely check that out. And if you're enjoying the podcast, but you are more of the type of person to want to watch a podcast, I know that's huge. I feel that way often, depending on the podcast. We're on YouTube, and all of our podcasts are available on YouTube in video form. So check it out there. Okay. We just put out a trailer yesterday at the time that we're recording this. But this past weekend, put out a trailer. Hessy and Maven are doing gaming. So we're going to be putting out some video game content. I'm still trying to figure out the formula and how exactly we're going to be doing it, because in the beginning we are going to be doing strictly like edited videos as opposed to live streaming with video games. So just kind of having some fun there. If there's a video game that you want us to check out or try or something, and it's like either a game that we already have or something, or I don't know, maybe I'll put out a post or something with all the games that we have available, and then you can tell us which games you want to see or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, be on the lookout for that. Our Instagram is a great place to stay afront on all of upcoming and incoming content and stuff, and even taking different advice or suggestions from the audience, from you guys. So definitely check that stuff out. Hessy and Maven, all one word. You can even just Google us. Give it a Goog. We're pretty much the only things that come up when you look up Hessy and Maven. So that's really nice.
Yes.
And then hopefully, it's mainly PlayStation 5 in terms of the gaming. Mainly PlayStation 5 and Nintendo Switch. But who knows? We'll check it out. And if it's fun content for both us and our viewers, then by all means, we'll double down, I think we're going to have a lot of fun with it.
Double dare?
Double dare, double dang. Yeah, and I have some cool ideas for it, like what I'm going to, because it is an edited video, and I don't want to just like kind of sit there. I'm talking to you, the listeners, but also to Raven. I have some ideas of what I'm going to do, or talk about rather, because the way I see it is I have two options, right? Mm-hmm. I can either talk about the video game, mm-hmm. and I'll probably throw in like things that are happening in my personal life, or like, mm-hmm. hey, do you know what happened today? It was so annoying. This happened, or mm-hmm. whatever. Or I can talk about something else. Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, that's a big category, something else. Yeah. It's just like not talking about the video game and being like, oh, look, there's a guy over there, and just talking about what I'm doing in the video game, which I think is like something that some people do, and by all means. But I'm mm-hmm. not an expert. I'm an amateur video game player who's having fun. Yeah. And that's, I think, the draw. Maybe I'll talk about different historical events or like cool things that happened in history that people don't really know about, or maybe I'll do a little bit of true crime. I thought, you know that girl that you started watching on YouTube,
Bailey Sarian, shout out. I am currently obsessed.
Yeah,
she does murder mystery and makeup,
and I love that.
Yeah, it's incredible.
So it's like both things. So you like makeup, you like true crime. Mm-hmm. This puts them both together. But I imagine that for some people who find her mm-hmm. or are shown her via the algorithms and stuff, it's kind of one or the other. It's, oh, I'm into true crime, and this is one avenue of it. Mm-hmm. Or I'm into makeup, and this has exposed me to a different world that I normally wouldn't have been exposed to.
Right.
So I was thinking about doing something similar.
Yeah.
But with video games. Mm-hmm. So it'll be me talking about a particular case, story. I also don't want to get and I would love to talk to somebody like that who is like their thing is true crime.
Yeah.
Do you feel like pigeonholed? Like, do you feel stuck where there's like a time where you want to talk about something and you're like, this isn't really true crime?
So she actually has different series on her channel.
There you go.
So I watched a video recently. I've only watched a few. She's got 135 episodes of Murder, Mystery, and Makeup. And I watched one episode where she talks about how she wanted to take a break from the murder because it was a lot, and she was starting a new series called Dark History where she wanted to talk about history, like the history of stuff. So she started that series. So I think when she wants to like diversify and like talk about other stuff, she just puts it into a different series.
Oh, and they're like different playlists on her YouTube, but it's all the same YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Brilliant. That's exactly what I plan to do with Hessy and Maven for the next several years.
Yeah.
Is diversify, have some fun, make all different kinds of content, but then also like put them into playlists so that they're easily accessible and stuff like that. But give people a wide variety of things to watch. That's my plan. So, and in a way, we're experimenting. We'll see what sticks.
I think I can speak for the people when I say we will like that.
Yeah, I think it'll be fun. So, yeah, we'll try that. So if there's any true crime cases that you really want to learn more about or hear about or, I don't know, whatever, let us know. Send in an email, hessyandmaven@gmail.com. And that goes for any kind of suggestions. If there's a cool game you want me to try. You know what I was playing yesterday? And I got weirdly into it. I've never been good at this game. But yesterday, I found it. A switch went off, and I was like, I fucking love this, and I'm good at it right now. Street Fighter. Oh. Like, it was an old one, too. It was on the... I have those emulators on the Nintendo Switch, and it was the Sega Genesis one, and it was, Sega. I love that. Oh. People who know Sega will know that.
Okay.
It's the sound that it makes when it starts up. But it was Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition. And I was playing it, and I was playing as Honda. Honda. I don't know what his first name is.
Perfect.
But he's a sumo wrestler from China.
I love it.
Or from Japan, excuse me.
Okay.
I was kicked butt with him.
That's great.
I was doing really good. I figured out how to do the special moves and stuff. He does the like very like Hariyama, the Pokemon.
Oh, I love Hariyama.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was having a lot of fun with that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very good.
So, send us over some emails and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else? I have one more thing, but do you have anything else?
I don't think so. I went to a fairy festival yesterday. It kind of stunk.
Oh, I'm really sorry to hear that. I know that it was like not as advertised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just like a couple shops. And then a bunch of little kids dressed like fairies. Yeah. When I go to a festival, I just expect a certain kind of atmosphere when you call it a festival.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I want it to be held in a giant field, and I want there to be food trucks and vendors and...
all kinds of stuff. Live music and shows and everyone's dressed up. And cosplayers, or maybe not cosplayers, but, you know, like kind of like Ren Fair vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I might drag Josh to there's a couple in August. There's a couple wine festivals that I've been to before. There's one in Seaside.
And then you could be like, this is what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. And there's one, I forget where, but it's called like Wine Down the Summer or something.
Ooh, fun.
And I went a couple years ago, and it's exactly what I wanted.
Yeah.
So I
don't feel like you need to invite me either.
Okay. We should go though, because it's fun. You only pay like $15, and then you get a wristband, and then you get like unlimited wine tastings.
Oh, I'd love to go. Thanks for asking.
You're welcome.
Cool.
Last thing?
All right, my last thing is we actually had somebody write in to Reddit.
Okay.
Not to us.
Okay.
But what if they wrote to us and they were asking us advice? Here's their question.
Okay.
The subject is stupid, but I have a problem with a seagull at work.
Okay.
Okay. And you have experience with seagulls.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm a line cook. I go smoke by the dumpsters a few times a day. We get seagulls in our parking lot. It's a well-known restaurant. It's busy, and tourists are sloppy with their fries. I also suspect the tourists are feeding the seagulls because it's cute, even though it's very against the rules. Regardless, the gulls do not fear man or God. They are used to people. A few weeks back, one of the gulls swooped down and took my cig. I think he thought it was a French fry. I giggled and went about my day. However, it's happened a few times since, and I know it's the same guy because he has a dark spot on his chest. I call him the pestilence. I'm concerned he is now addicted to nicotine. He's by the dumpsters at the same time as my breaks every single day. This is obviously not good at him, and I'm getting mad about him bumming off of me because smoking is expensive. Do I try to quit smoking? I'll make noise and try to appear large to scare him off, but the pestilence is hip to my tricks. Have work crack down on tourists feeding the gulls? What do I do? Are there sonar weapons, such as a dog whistle type of thing, that I could employ? And then he just goes on, sorry this is so stupid. I'm being bullied by a seagull. He also stole a $10 bill from my coworker. And in case you're wondering, this person did call animal control, who just laughed at them.
Okay, first, yeah, you try to quit smoking because smoking is bad for you and you shouldn't do it.
Amen.
Second, you keep a better grip on your cigarettes because you're stronger than a seagull. So once this happened one time, if it were me, I would be like, well, now I know that this seagull can grab it from me if I'm not holding on tight.
Yeah.
So I have to hold on tight.
Yeah.
And secondly, it's bad that you're allowing this to happen because that seagull's probably going to die.
Yeah. Interesting.
So, just saying.
Well, there you go, random person on Reddit. Hopefully you're a Hessy Maven listener because you just got some advice, baby.
Get a patch. Get the gum.
Get the gum. I recommend the gum. The patch, I'm sure, works for some people, and by all means. But for somebody like me, it's so much more of a tactile. The act of smoking is so much more tactile. So, like, the idea that I'm going to put a patch on and just be like, cool, and not think about it or not, like, that is crazy to me. Like,
it's fair.
Again, it clearly works. It's a pretty thriving industry. I do dislike how some of the not anti-smoking, but like things that help you quit smoking are like just as expensive, if not more expensive than the actual smoking. And you're like,
it shouldn't be like
what
that.
Is this? Yeah. This sucks. Like the government should subsidize that or something because it's like, you guys are the ones who put all the Surgeon General warnings out there. Like, why aren't you fucking doing something other than putting a warning that everybody at this point knows? There's not a smoker alive who's like, wait a minute, they're bad for you?
Yeah, I know.
Oh, no!
Yeah.
Here I thought. But they're minty. Yeah, fucking dumb. So, that's just one idea, I suppose. But okay, cool. I just wanted to bring that up and maybe make that into a small segment that we do. Okay. We can bounce back and forth. You could find a question. Ideally, hey listeners, you guys would be sending us questions that we could ask each other. So get to it, please. All right. With that, I suppose we should get into it. Get into our top 5 Food Network celebrity chefs. Can I ask you a broad question? What were some of the things that made you select certain people? Was it just like the shows? Was it just pure nostalgia, personality, cooking style?
It was the show. I will also say that I misunderstood this when you first brought it to me, and I chose my top favorite shows. And I never translated it to people. Even though I asked. Even though you asked me to. 4 times. All of these are people, except for one. So we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But most of them are just I like the show. and the vibes.
Yeah.
And the nostalgia.
I think that's good.
Yeah.
I think that's good. Yeah, for me, it was like the show, personality, also some of their cooking or like what they were able to offer me in that way. Like what, almost like in a transactional way now that I'm thinking about it. But, because some of them like stood apart from each other and stuff like that. But yeah, it was really just personality mixed with like skill. Like them being able to back up and like kind of... Because, you know, they kind of have, like, an authority figures type of role where, like, they're they have the know-how. Mm-hmm. And I need them to not only back it up with, like, prove that you're a chef and a restaurateur and, like, why you're on the Food Network. Mm-hmm. But then also, like, but be nice and approachable because you're a TV personality while also being a chef, right? Yeah. Like, I don't think he probably had a Food Network show at one point in his career, but like Gordon Ramsay, sorry buddy, you would never have made my list because you're mean. Yeah. You come across mean, except like for those mean. Random things where it's like him and that Italian guy and the other dude who like do little cooking traveling shows together. Then it's kind of funny because the Italian guy Gino something or other.
I did also see one clip.
And there are times where Gordon Ramsay breaks down his shield of meanness and he does something nice.
I saw one clip where he's doing that thing where he like goes to a restaurant and he tries all their food and he tells them that they're terrible.
Yeah.
And he saw one of the like bosses or managers or owners or whoever yell at one of the waitresses, and he like got up and flipped out and like yelled at them for yelling at the waitress, and I thought that was nice. Yeah. But for the most part, he's mean and I don't like his shows.
I agree.
Yeah.
Anyway, and also there was a time where he was on a talk show with Sofia Vergara. They were both guests, and I didn't like his behavior towards Sofia Vergara. Like, it was just, like, misogynistic.
Okay.
I can't really... Yeah. If you saw it, you would know.
Yeah, I get it.
Anyway. Do you want to go first? You want me to go first?
You can go first.
Okay. I will go first then. Actually, no, that guy's definitely number 5. Sorry. I'm switching up my order here.
Olive, be careful.
I'll put who deserves to be number 1. Actually, no, now that I found out what you're all about, buddy. Okay, here we go. My number 5 is an Iron Chef. He is born in New York. He has all different kinds of accolades across the entire world. Did a lot of working at restaurants in Paris and stuff like that. Anyway, I first saw him as a judge on a show, but my number 5 is Jeffrey Zakarian.
Interesting.
Are you familiar?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, my first pick is Jeffrey Zakarian. That's my number 5. Because, here's why. So I saw him on Chopped all the time. He was always a judge on Chopped. And I was like, who is this guy? He always dresses in like the nicest suits, right? He's got the gray, white, like like gelled hair and stuff like that. He looks like a New Yorker kind of like business guy kind of thing, you know? And he was pretty harsh as a judge.
Yeah.
And so at first I was like, who is this guy? Like, this guy probably just owns a bunch of restaurants. He doesn't really like, of course he knows, but he's not in the trenches slinging omelets or whatever. I was like, I don't know. Anyway, I was wrong. Because he goes on to become America's Next Iron Chef, crushing the competition. And that was one of the first seasons of that show, and he won.
Of Iron Chef?
Of, like, who gets to be the next Iron Chef. You know, it was fucking stupid.
Chef.
Yeah. Which is another silly idea. It was, like, fun once in a while, and then it was like, dude, how many freaking Iron Chefs are there? Like, this is insane. Like, stop doing this show. But anyway, okay. So, I love Jeffrey Zakarian. I think he's very fancy, and I sometimes in college when I was like really bored during a lecture, I would actually look up his restaurant's menus and just like read the menus and just be like, oh my God, I love all of this. I love it so much. I'm a little bit of a foodie, by the way, gang. But
Tony does that with Alex Guarnaschelli.
He beat Alex Guarnaschelli in this particular Iron Chef competition. She was in it too. At least I think so. You can fact check me on that. But so he has had a huge career, all different kinds of stuff. Chef, restaurateur. He's a host, culinary consultant. He's looked after some of America's best top kitchens, but also gone around the world and done different things. He began as like a pastry sous chef and then became a chef and then became a chef de cuisine, all under this chef in Paris. And then he worked at a bunch of different restaurants in Paris. He worked at a place called the Dorchester in London, Les Chantecler with Jacques Maximin in Nice, and he worked with Pierre Orsay in Lyon. And then 1987, he takes his first turn at being the executive chef, which is like the head guy. And he bounces around from kind of place to place, which is one of those interesting things in a resume, how you can go from like year to year to year, work at different places. But it's like for a chef, it's like not necessarily a bad thing, you know? Like when you look at a resume, you'd be like, what are you doing? You keep getting fired?
Yeah.
Why do you keep moving around so much? But for a chef, it's kind of normal.
Yeah.
But then he does all these other things. And in 2001, he finally opens his first restaurant, Town. And at the time, he's still also an executive chef at a place called Patroon. And both of those places get 3 stars from the New York Times. And he's just doing a bunch of different things. Comes out with a cookbook. It crushes it. He gets... one of his restaurants gets a Michelin star. He opens up a place called the Lambs Club. He's opening up... A lot of the places that he opens up are inside of hotels.
Okay.
Like really fancy hotels that have like a restaurant on the ground floor kind of thing. A lot of the places he opens up are like that. And then in 2013, he makes a really interesting partnership with Norwegian Cruise Lines to have like restaurants open up on their cruises.
Okay.
I thought that was pretty interesting. And he also, he just does a million different things. And then outside of the kitchen, he's like an author. It says here that he's a philanthropist, although I am on jeffreyzakarian.com. So
fair.
Take everything with a grain of salt, I suppose. No offense to this guy. I'm not saying that he's a liar, but you're going to pad your resume a little bit. I get it. Entrepreneur and notable television personality. So, yeah, he's just doing a million different things. And like I said, the biggest reason that I was like super down with him is just because of him being able to back up what he was talking about. He was a harsh critic or a harsh judge. And seeing him on the American version of Iron Chef, which is just like Chopped in a lot of ways. You get a mystery ingredient. It's like high stakes and low time and high pressure and all this different stuff.
So much pressure. I literally could never do
you
it.
perform. And he did to an incredible high standard that he was able to back up him being a pretty harsh critic. And I was like, fuck yeah.
I'm glad to hear that
like,
because
I'm into that.
He is quite harsh on Chopped.
Yeah, no
harsh
doubt.
judges is the reason I don't like Chopped.
It's always hard when somebody gets really just hit hard with some not good reviews or whatever. He's also opening up a restaurant in 2023, sometime this year, perhaps. It says spring of 2023. That passed, did it not?
It did.
Am I crazy? Okay. He's opening up a place in Qatar.
That's random.
It's super random. I think it's just because Qatar is... It's like... Qatar to me is like... It's like Dubai. It's just like this country in the Middle East that a lot of super rich people go to. Or like Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like with Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi almost went over there. And like all these just like extravagant, super wealthy, probably like oil magnate people. Magnate, is that the word? And it's just like, I don't know.
I also don't know.
And I'll leave it there. But yes, my number 5, Jeffrey Zakarian.
Very good.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, he's a tough guy.
Mm-hmm.
He is a tough guy. Okay. My number 5 is a choice that I made, not because I love this chef, but because I love to hate him.
Oh.
And he has a show where people go up against him.
Oh, God.
And the whole show is based on him thinking like he's so great and it would be so hard to defeat him that the point of the show is, come on the show and try to defeat me. I bet you can't, but you can try.
I'll make it easier for you. I'll cook your best dish.
And the absolute smugness. It just is
I know who it is.
Dripping with smug. Bobby Flay.
Yeah. I wrote it down already.
I
was like,
can't stand Bobby Flay.
Yeah.
He's the actual idea that he would, sorry, people from my job are texting me. The actual idea that he would make the show just based on how great he is.
Yeah.
Is just unreal. It's unreal. And the show is called Beat Bobby Flay, which I can't believe.
Yeah.
And I don't even like the show because I don't like watching Bobby win.
He wins too often.
But the episodes where he loses are just so good.
Yeah.
They're the only episodes worth watching, if I'm being honest. And I will say he lost season 1, episode 1.
Which is fucking just hilarious. That also, beautiful. To be fair, I imagine that behind the scenes, those episodes probably don't necessarily have to be in order.
Yeah.
Like that. They could have made that decision as a studio to be like, let's make our first episode a loss. That will bring people in because they'll see Bobby Flay as a human.
Yeah.
And not as a machine.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
Yeah, I just don't like him. I think he's so smug. I
love that on our top 5.
Yeah, I just love to hate him so much. But I had to bring up this show because I do like to watch it when he gets beat. Mm-hmm. Which I have to know before I start the episode.
Oh, you're so weird.
I have to ruin it.
You and Tony both are so weird.
I will say, you know that the Australian podcast with Tony and can't think of his name.
No, sorry.
Tony and Ryan.
Yeah.
They do a segment on their show called Normal or Nah.
Oh yeah.
And one of their episodes, someone asked if it's normal to look up the plot of a movie while watching the movie.
Oh,
so that you know what's gonna happen. And Tony and me are completely on the same side, where she was like, "No, that's absolutely normal." And she talks about how she watched the first Transformers movie with her boyfriend.
Yeah.
And she's like, and a box fell from the sky, and I was like, "Where did the box come from?" And her boyfriend was like, "You'll see. Like,
yeah.
you don't need to know."
Yeah, we'll find out.
Well, like,
later in the movie.
I need to know. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, where did the box come from? And her boyfriend's like, well, if you would just shut up and watch the movie, you'll find out. But I do that. So
true.
I do that in almost every show and movie that I watch. I Google the plot. I don't like surprises. I don't like tension.
My issue with spoilers is, like, because I respect that. Mm-hmm. My issue is you can only ever watch something for the first time without knowing once.
Yeah.
Once you know, you can never take it back.
Yeah.
We will never know what it was like to live in the world where you thought Tom Riddle was just some weird fucking ghost trapped in a diary.
Yeah.
You're never going to know at the end of Fight Club what the big twist is. Mm-hmm. Or whatever, anytime that there's like a big twist in general.
Yeah.
Like, you're never going to be able to take that back, which is why I'm so anti-spoilers. Because it's like, listen, let me watch it once, no spoilers. Because you can never, That's really where it comes down for me, is like the idea. Like, sometimes I wish that you could erase just that really small part of your memory. Like, imagine being able to reread your favorite book and not know what the ending is.
That's fair. I will say that I did accidentally spoil my favorite book series via Pinterest.
It's so easy to these days.
But
you got to put hashtag no spoilers, people.
I know.
Or spoilers or whatever it is so that we can filter them out. You got to do that. That drives me nuts when that happens sometimes. I see you're responding to emails and stuff. Or
I'm so sorry. Work. It's someone at my job who is asking me about something I asked her to do.
Typical. Absolutely typical.
Okay. Yeah, so beat Bobby Flay.
There you go. Bobby Flay, number 5.
Only when you're beat.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's really funny. Okay. My number 4 is another Iron Chef. Mm-hmm. Who, it's so interesting that you brought this up. So, I'll just say his name before I do this whole, I don't know why I do this whole exposition thing before every person. I don't know why I do that. I feel like I don't know. Anyway. My number 4 is Masaharu Morimoto. Masaharu Morimoto. An amazing Iron Chef who was even on the old school Asian. I only say that because I'm not sure if that was a Chinese show or a Japanese show.
The original Iron Chef.
Yeah. I don't know.
I always rooted for him.
I don't know if that show was Chinese or Japanese.
Isn't the host of the original? No, they're different hosts.
It's a Japanese show.
I remember the host being very loud, where he would announce.
Yeah, he would scream. It was very theatrical.
Yeah.
And he would grab a bell pepper and bite into it as he stared into camera. It was so intense.
Yeah.
But Masaharu Morimoto was the Japanese Iron Chef. Mm-hmm. He wasn't, and the interesting thing is he wasn't always. There used to be an older person. Mm-hmm. And eventually he stepped down and Masaharu Morimoto became the Iron Chef.
Yeah.
On that show, again, the old Japanese version that used to come on so early in the morning or so late at night, depending on how you look at it. And he battled Bobby Flay twice on that show.
Did he beat him?
He beat him once and he lost to him once.
No.
But one of the first times that they battled, they finished the match, right? It's called, the timer goes off. Bobby Flay stands on his kitchen table, the counter space, and stands on his cutting board and is typical American shit.
Typical Bobby Flay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And Morimoto was pissed. He said it was a huge dishonor to stand on your cooking, to put your feet, to put your shoes on your cutting board.
Yeah. He's right.
And so then the next time, again, typical Bobby Flay, get ready for this. The next time he went, Bobby Flay made a big show of moving his cutting board and then doing the exact same thing, standing on top of the counter.
Yeah.
Crazy.
He's insufferable. Morimoto is lovely.
I love Morimoto. So I had to pick Morimoto because he is this big name still this day in Food Network history. But the idea that he had such an interesting start. Actually, did you know, and I learned this because of us preparing for this, he actually had a very promising career as a baseball catcher in Japan, but then had a really bad shoulder injury. So then he began studying sushi in his hometown of Hiroshima.
Cute.
Isn't that crazy?
Hiroshima? Where the bomb went off?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Hiroshima.
Sad.
I believe it's pronounced Hiroshima. Somebody will roast me, please. But yeah, he figured out food pretty quickly. So at the age of 24, opened his first restaurant.
Wow.
24. 5 years later, he moved to America to expand his culinary repertoire. What do you say?
Repertoire.
That probably makes more sense. Why do I say repertoire?
I don't know.
Because I'm a prick?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just kidding.
You answered that a little too fast. Let me just write that down. Prick. Okay. Anyway, that's so funny. In 1994, he was recruited to join the original Nobu restaurant and soon was promoted to executive chef. He opened a restaurant in Philadelphia, New York, Napa, Honolulu, Boca Raton, Mumbai.
The restaurant's called Morimoto, right?
Mexico City, Tokyo, and Maui. He opened up a bunch of different places.
Oh.
I think a lot of them are called Morimoto, but I think he has other ones that are not called Morimoto.
Oh.
But yeah, he's been all around the globe. He has currently has 19 restaurants around the world. Isn't that insane?
That is insane.
Nuts. He's been on all kinds of lists of, top restaurants and all the different kind of stuff like that. In 1998 was the first time that he competed on the Japanese television show Iron Chef. Wow. Amazing.
Love him.
Yeah, he's incredible. I'm such a huge
Tony wants to go to his
fan.
Morimoto restaurant in Philadelphia really bad.
Oh my God, I would die to go to his restaurant. I've always wanted to go. I've always been like, it's so annoying because he has that one restaurant in Disney Springs.
Yeah.
And it's always like every time we used to go, it was like either I'm lumped in, even though I'm the oldest grandkid, I was lumped in with the kids. So it was just like, oh, some of the adults are going to Morimoto, but you guys are going to Dino Ranch or Rainforest Cafe or something. And I'm like, Jesus. Or it would be like Aunt Kim and Uncle Joe are going to Morimoto because they don't have kids and they make money. And it was just like, damn it. But I want to go.
Honestly.
But anyway, that's my number 4. Masaharu Morimoto.
Nice. We love it.
Thank you.
Love to see it. My number 4 is
also somebody I fucking hate.
No. Is Jennifer Patterson and Clarissa Dixon Wright.
Okay.
Also known as Two Fat Ladies.
Oh, yep. Dude, that's so funny you said that. I remember the show, but I couldn't remember if they were Food Network.
They were not originally, but repeats are shown on Food Network and Cooking Channel, and on the Australian Broadcasting Corporation. It is amazing. 2 British ladies on a British cooking program. They are affectionately known as Two Fat Ladies. They're adorable.
Yeah.
Their show centered on them traveling the United Kingdom. For most of the episodes, except for one episode in Ireland and one in Jamaica. And they travel on a Triumph Thunderbird motorcycle driven by Jennifer Patterson.
Yeah.
And
they're like a sidecar, right?
Clarissa Dixon Wright is in the sidecar.
Amazing.
It's so good.
That's awesome.
Like, they're so cute. There's a quote here on their, oh my God. This says they sang their own theme song. Patterson often burst into song during the show. She would sing a song called Shoe Fly Pie and Apple Pan Dowdy.
Wow.
So cute. Okay. This is a quote about them that I think really just says it all about why I connect with the Two Fat Ladies.
Okay.
Optimin.
Oh, great start.
Optomen. I want to say optimum, but it's optomen.
Okay.
Optomen Television had this to say. Quote, "The ladies are cooks, not chefs. They reject the pretensions and elaborations of haute cuisine and are aggressively unfashionable, delighting in such ingredients as clotted cream, lard, and fatty meats." End quote. Yes. I love that they're described as aggressively unfashionable. Because I, too, am aggressively unfashionable. Olive, can you please chew with your mouth closed?
What is Olive doing, dude? What is she even eating?
I don't know.
What are you eating, Olive? She's just going...
Stop.
Olive, we learned during the Vegemite episode that people don't like chewing noises.
They have... I just want to talk quickly about... They have 4 cookbooks. In order. These are their titles.
Okay.
2 Fat Ladies... Gastronomic Adventures with Motorbike and Sidecar. That's the whole title.
Part of it?
Yeah. The 2 Fat Ladies Ride Again.
That's good.
The 2 Fat Ladies Full Throttle. And 2 Fat Ladies Obsessions.
Hell yeah.
It's just perfect. It's a perfect program.
I wish that they made an appearance on that Tim Allen movie, Wild Hogs.
Oh my god. Daddy loves that movie.
Yeah, I know. God, I haven't seen Wild Hogs in forever. William H. Macy kills it in that. He's such a good actor.
Yeah, he is.
Oh my god, I love William H. Macy.
Yeah, but they're my number 4 favorite Food Network personalities. I adore them both. And if me and you were the 2 Fat Ladies, I would be in the sidecar.
Of course you would.
Yeah.
Of course you would.
Okay. I just want to make that known.
Thank you, though, for clearing up any doubt that I had that I would have a chance to be in a sidecar. Yeah. Immediately snuffed out. All right. Well, here's my number 3.
Okay.
So my number 3 is this. For the longest time, his show was my favorite show. Again, I'm giving exposition before I give you the name.
Okay.
It was by far my favorite show on Food Network.
Okay.
And it was strictly because I'm a fucking nerd and I loved the way his show was.
Is it Alton Brown?
It is Alton Brown. Because Good Eats is single-handedly like one of the greatest food-related shows ever. It was less of a cooking show, even though obviously he did cook on it and actually like make recipes and stuff. But
very sciencey, but it was so cool.
So sciencey. And he had such cool like little skits and like ways of showing the molecules and like why things happen a certain way. And it had like Mythbusters elements to it. And he had recurring characters like Mr. Rogers almost. Like there was like certain characters, like when he would open up his freezer, there would be like the Ice Queen or whatever, and like his daughter made regular appearances on the show and was always referred to as Alton's spawn. Oh my god. Alton Brown is so likable too. He's like, very likable. Yeah, he's very likable. He had a good job of definitely working the personality angle of things. Yeah. But here's what I found out about Alton Brown as I've been doing the lightest amount of research. Okay. Number 1, his middle name is Crawford. Wow. I know. Number 2, he was born in L.A. Oh. Yeah, I know. That's unexpected. Right? I don't know why, too. I would have guessed, with that name, I would have guessed Alabama. So his dad, Alton Brown Sr., was a media executive in Cleveland, Georgia. Oh, okay. And owner of a radio station and publisher of a newspaper, like all this stuff. Unfortunately, he passed away when Alton was in 6th grade from an apparent suicide. Wow, that's really sad. Very sad. Sorry. Wow, Wikipedia. Sorry, way to lay Alton. Down the hammer. Keep things light. Yeah. But yeah, he studied film and actually got his start in television making music videos as a cinematographer. Wow. He actually is credited with doing a music video for the band R.E.M. Oh. Doing the song The One I Love. Okay. Don't even know if what that song is. But but then he started getting really annoyed at the quality of cooking shows on American television. So he was like, you know what? I'm going to produce my own cooking show. Okay. And in preparation for that, he enrolled in the New England Culinary Institute, graduating in 1997. So he said he was not very good at science in high school and college, but when he was focused on a subject like cooking, he really started to understand the underlying processes of cooking and how nutrition and all that kind of stuff works.
Okay.
So interesting. One thing that I've always taken away from Alan Brown and Good Eats and his shows and stuff like that is the distaste for unitaskers. He hates a unitasker. For example, a garlic press.
Oh.
Sure, you could probably finagle it to work for other things. Or, like, even more specific are, like, olive pitters. Or, like, things that are, like, this entire invention that will be sold at, like, Sur La Table or something, like a place like that. Or, like, Pier 1 or something.
Yeah.
And it will only serve one purpose. It is literally just to, like, take out the pit of a peach. And you're like, okay, but, like, what about anything else?
Yeah,
like,
how often am I doing that?
Ridiculous.
It's taking up space in my drawer, yeah.
And it's interesting because I disagree with him when it comes to some things. Like, for example, I think a rice cooker is a really good... I don't care that it only cooks rice. Rice is pretty prevalent. Mm-hmm. You could, you get out of here. Okay. But anyway. But yeah, he first made it for PBS, which is actually a running theme. And a couple of the people that I picked is that they would have shows on PBS first.
Love PBS.
And then it would get picked up by Food Network.
Okay.
Good Eats was one of them. And... yeah, Good Eats is just an amazing show. Like, I just learned so much about different things, about, like, to this day, like, and you know me, I cook Thanksgiving dinner all the time. We actually have a really fun short film on, like, a mockumentary on our YouTube called The Voices of Thanksgiving that Raven and I made. Go check that out. It's really funny.
That's excellent.
But I love cooking Thanksgiving. It's, like, something I look forward to every year. Mm-hmm. I never have done the old school, like, stuffed turkey. Mm-hmm. You know, like, where you put the stuffing inside the turkey?
Yeah.
Never, because Alton Brown told me that is a recipe for salmonella.
Yeah.
And so I never do that. Mm-hmm. And Anthony Bourdain backed that up also in his cookbook. But,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's done a million other shows and stuff like that. He's now just, like, a huge personality of Food Network. He's, like, an extension of the company in many ways.
He's the host of a lot of things.
Exactly, yeah. He's
awesome.
Iron Chef America. He did a show, Feasting on Asphalt, where he was going via motorcycle.
It's incredible.
Amazing. Going back, both of ours, Bobby Flay and I did Morimoto, and they battled each other.
Yeah.
Two fat ladies. Alan Brown rode a motorcycle once.
Yeah.
Wow.
Amazing.
Incredible. We are in sync. Okay. Yep. And then he did, like, Cutthroat Kitchen. Did you ever see that one?
I have heard of it.
Oh, man, it was intense. All different kinds of stuff. They give each contestant $25,000, and they have to bid on items that can be used to hinder the other people or stuff like that. Or sometimes they'll, like, confiscate items, or it's like, okay, you're not allowed any spoons. No spoons for you for this next challenge or something.
Oh.
It's just another competition show, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's written books. He's done a million different things. He's got a huge bibliography. But yeah, interesting about him. Some interesting things about him. But he did. What's it called? He's on Twitter, which is usually a recipe for disaster for most celebrities.
Yeah.
But, okay. I found this very interesting because I just, for some reason, I guess, I don't know, just thought differently. But then again, he's like, his dad, he comes from money because his dad was running multiple businesses and stuff like that. It's probably way easier to get your foot into television. And it's not probably. It is easier to get your foot into television when you're doing all this stuff. Like, but, you know, nepotism aside, he said in 2020 that he almost has always voted Republican.
Alton Brown?
Until 2016, when he pretty much was like, I'm not voting for Trump. So he's been voting Democrat since 2016.
Okay.
But
interesting.
Yeah, it's a two-party system, where I stand on a lot of that stuff. But I just thought that was an interesting little fun fact. That's the only reason I bring it up. Not to bring up politics or anything. Just a little bit of an interesting fact. He also said that he did vote for Michael Dukakis in 1988. So another fun fact for our Politico heads out there.
That's not a great last name.
Dukakis?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not great, but it's memorable.
I guess.
So, yeah, okay. My number 3, Alan Brown.
Okay.
Lay it on me.
This is a show that is not attached to any specific chef. Okay. It doesn't convert into a chef that I can talk about, but...
I'm so glad that I reminded you several times to switch up your list.
Yeah, but I do love this show a lot, and I don't think it's on anymore, but when it was on, I always got so excited. The show is called The Best Thing I Ever Ate.
Oh!
Yeah, and it's a fantastic show. It just is like a bunch of... And at the top of this thing, I'm looking at on foodnetwork.com, it says All-Star Best Thing I Ever Ate. So I don't know if there was a version where it wasn't celebrity chefs talking. But this is the one I like, where it's like celebrity chefs. And there's always a topic to the episode. Like, some of these topics are... like your ultimate cravings is one episode, chocolate is one episode, Asian food is one episode, places you want to go on a date is another episode. So there's themes, and then these celebrity chefs they talk about like the best thing that they've eaten under this topic at a restaurant, and they talk about it, and then they showcase that restaurant and where it is and the food. So this episode is called Trigger Foods, and
what does that mean?
I don't really know why it's called that.
Foods that trigger a response, maybe.
I really wish
like a trigger word or like a trigger situation or something like that.
So the description of the episode says, "We're losing all control and giving in to ultimate food cravings."
Ooh, baby.
Jeffrey Zakarian starts things off never before with the most juicy and succulent roast chicken from New York City. Jonathan Sawyer takes it to the next level with a cheesy, crunchy, gravy-drenched delight known as poutine.
Oh, yeah, poutine is fucking
And nothing can compare to the excitement in Duff Goldman's eyes when he's back in Baltimore slinging back some single-fry oysters. So I guess Trigger Foods is just like a guilty pleasure food, maybe, or something like...
It's a weird way of putting it.
It is weird. But that's what it's like. There's a theme.
I remember that show very vividly.
Yeah, and then celebrity chefs talk about their favorite thing.
Go to the place. It wasn't just And
I love it.
It's almost like Food Network's version of that show on VH1, like I Love the 80s.
Yes.
Where it was like celebrity talking about different things. Yeah. It was obviously done differently.
Yes.
But it was like that vibe of just like we're counting on the personalities of these chefs to carry the show and tell us about different things.
And I love it. I love hearing big time celebrity chefs like shout out this restaurant they went to one time and like this great thing that they tried.
For sure.
It's like it gets me like rooting for that restaurant. I'm like, oh my god, I'm so happy for you that you got this shout out and your food is so good.
Because you're like where do chefs eat?
Yeah.
Like when chefs aren't cooking, what do they eat?
Yeah, and I like it because I used to love when it was like a hole in the wall place and not like I'm
really fancy
Jeffrey Zakarian and I ate at Bobby Flay's restaurant. Like, you know what I mean?
He would never.
Like, yeah.
Don't put that stink on his name.
I know. But I used to love it. And just seeing what they love, like, it was such an interesting show.
That's a good pick. I'll let it slide that you didn't have a celebrity chef attached.
Yeah. So,
that's a good one.
Best Thing I Ever Ate. It was an awesome show.
That's a really good one. Okay. Wow. All right. My number 2 is, remember how we talked about spoilers?
Yeah.
Remember how you said Emerald in the very beginning of the episode and spoiled my number 2? Emerald Lagasse, folks, is my number 2.
Wow,
I love
I'm surprised
him so much.
He's that high up on the list.
What do you mean?
I don't know.
Oh, he has to be for being the legend that he is.
Because he's a legend.
Because I don't watch Fox News. Jesus Christ. Oh, boy. They've got me, gang. They fucking got me.
Because you don't watch Food Network.
I haven't watched Food Network in so long, and I barely ever.
I don't think he's on
Food
Network anymore. I think he does
might have
a
show, but yeah, I know he does infomercials and stuff like that. But here's the thing: I just have such fond memories of watching Emerald Live, which was the big show on Food Network, and it came on at prime time. It was like right around dinner time. You would watch it as a family. Like, that's the crazy part that blows my mind, is this idea that his show was so good and so captivating, so engaging, that you would sit down as a family and watch a cooking show. Insane. Now, granted, it was done in the style of a live show. Like, he had guests on. He was, like, cooking live in front of a live audience and all this stuff. It wasn't just, like, him edited close-ups on his hand cutting a lemon or something.
And it was like big. I remember it being big, like where he cooked.
Oh,
like
it was a studio.
It was huge.
A big studio, yeah. But so
I remember him doing was there an episode where he did like Thanksgiving?
I'm
like remembering very strongly an episode Food Network, where he did like a whole turkey.
Food Network. I mean, think about it. Thanksgiving is Food Network's like. That's their flagship practically. It is, it's like, oh my god, guys, it's our holiday. It's the one based around food, because let's be honest, no one gives a shit about the history of Thanksgiving.
It's only food.
It's bad mostly.
It's our holiday.
And no one cares about that. Yeah. I can't think of a single person, white or otherwise, who has celebrated Thanksgiving and like at the dinner table been like, hey, remember Pilgrims? No one.
No.
Unless you're in that one episode of Everybody Loves Raymond, which is actually a really funny episode.
The Charlie Brown Thanksgiving.
Oh, no doubt.
Where they're pilgrims. I like that one.
It's the Peanut Club. You got it.
I am in the Peanut Club.
The Peanuts. So, anyway, he actually, this is really interesting. He worked at a Portuguese bakery when he was a teenager, where he really figured out bread and pastry baking and stuff like that. But when he graduated high school, he actually turned down a full scholarship to New England Conservatory of Music.
That's interesting.
Because he wanted to become a chef.
Yeah.
He earned a degree. He received an honorary doctorate from the university. Interesting. He traveled to Paris and Lyon in France. He honed his skills and learned about the art of French cuisine. Returned to the United States, where he was working in fine dining restaurants in New York, Boston, and Philadelphia, until he eventually was lured to New Orleans, where Lagasse helmed the restaurant known as Commander's Palace.
Man, we gotta go to New Orleans.
Where he was there for nearly 8 years. Don't even joke, Raven. I want to go to I want to go to New Orleans so bad. I want to go there so bad. There's so many places that I want to go to. There's like really stereotypical places, like places that are just like really well known. Like there's that one place that's super well known for beignets.
Yeah.
That like huge cafe. You know what I'm talking about? But honestly, off the top of my head, there are two places that I desperately want to go to, and they're very specific restaurants. One's called Turkey and the Wolf, and it's literally like a sandwich spot. But it's owned by this chef that I really like, who has like a really dope ass mustache and wears glasses and like overalls and stuff. He had an episode on munchies, which like you talked about how you like how chefs will let you know where they eat.
Yeah.
Chef's Night Out, which is a series on munchies, which is like the food branch of the Vice network or whatever. That's exactly what they do.
Yeah.
They had an episode with that guy from Turkey and the Wolf. Amazing. He's such a cool guy too, like very down to earth. He's a huge like ally to the LGBTQ community, and he's also all about like supporting people who from different kinds of marginalized communities. Like he brought on a friend who was a black woman. She still is a black woman, to be fair. But she talked a lot about like black history in New Orleans, and then they also had a person on who was Vietnamese, because like the Vietnamese community is like freaking huge, and I think Vietnamese specifically, but also other Asian communities are really big in the Gulf portion because of different things going on and the world and stuff, and came over as refugees mainly, but also received a lot of racism, of course, because it's America. And it was interesting that he was sort of facilitating those conversations, because it's like when you look at him, you're just like, oh, the most hipster white guy you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was awesome seeing it. And then there's another place called Toop's Meatery.
Oh.
Meatery with a T. Like, they do a lot of meat. But yeah, that guy, Isaac Toops, is his name.
Toops.
And he, I follow him on Instagram. Oh my God, some of the stuff he puts out, I'm like, jeez Louise, man. Like, he did a soft-shelled crab thing the other day, and soft-shelled crab is one of those things I've never had, but I've always wanted to try. Mm-hmm. It's like, I like crab sometimes.
I've never had crab.
But I like things when they're deep fried, so I'll probably like it. But also, just the idea of biting into a crab body is so freaking strange to me. I don't know what to make of it.
I feel that.
But anyway, New Orleans would be huge. But Emeril Lagasse, I just his show, man. Think about how universal BAM was. That was huge.
And I remember him always saying, "I wish there was smell-o-vision."
Oh, he always said the same things.
Yeah.
He had very specific little catchphrases. And then I said to myself, "Self?"
Yeah.
He would say something like, "Oh God, I loved him."
I remember that. Yeah.
Man, yeah. Just
love Emeril.
Just a great guy.
Nice.
But yeah, that's my number 2.
Very good.
What do you got for us?
Okay, my number 2 is Duff Goldman.
Ooh, okay.
I love Duff.
Yeah.
He used to have a show called Ace of Cakes that I loved. I love seeing Crazy Cakes. Yeah, he was cute. And it was in Baltimore. It was called Charm City Cake Shop.
You said he was cute?
Yeah, he was cute.
Oh, okay.
Not like I have a crush on him, but like, aw.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was called Charm City Cakes, and the show was called Ace of Cakes, and they made these crazy cakes, which I loved. And I love to see crazy cakes, but a lot of the times you only see crazy cakes on Food Network in competition shows. Ugh. And I don't like those because they always have that part at the end of the episode where they have to bring the cake over to the judging table, and the like suspense music is playing because you don't know if they're gonna drop the cake or not.
It's too stressful.
It's much too stressful. But I used to love watching Ace of Cakes. Duff was so funny. He was always like haha joking.
He was funny.
He was born in Detroit. His family is Jewish. He got his nickname because his little brother couldn't say Jeffrey and would call him Duffy.
Cute.
Which is cute. Wow. He grew up in a town in Massachusetts called Sandwich, Massachusetts, and he graduated from Sandwich High School.
I wish,
man. Talk about destiny.
I wish. I hope that school and that whole town leans into that.
Oh my God, I really hope so.
I hope their mascot is like a sandwich that has like the toothpicks in it with like olives as eyeballs, like a club sandwich.
Oh my God, yeah.
Or oh my God, and you could open up a private lounge and call it the club.
Yeah.
Wow.
They could do a lot of sandwich puns over there.
I bet.
You know
a pun they couldn't make though? Not these days. The sub.
Oh, fair. Too soon.
I feel okay about it.
Fun fact, he went to the University of Maryland, Baltimore County.
He
earned a bachelor's degree in East Asian history.
Wild.
With a minor in ethics.
How interesting.
Yeah. After that, he attended Corcoran College of Art and the Culinary Institute of America at Greystone in Napa Valley.
That's amazing.
I know.
Wow.
He's a fascinating guy.
That's really cool.
And I like it because he had like very humble beginnings. Like his first job, he worked at McDonald's.
Cute.
Like, we love it.
Yeah, love McDonald's.
Yeah. I hate people who think they're too good for McDonald's.
No, that's the one thing. That's why I like this is gonna be really conceited. That's why I like myself, because I consider myself like a foodie. Mm-hmm. Like I like the fancy shit sometimes. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But what I will not fuck with is smugness.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're better than me. You think you are so good. Like McDonald's isn't good. Like even from like a culinary standpoint, the amount of consistency that they're cranking out at the speed at which they're cranking it out. Oh, yeah. Is it high quality or whatever? That's not necessarily what we're looking for.
Yeah.
Right? Like, again, it goes back to the idea of like smokers being surprised that smoking is bad for you. It's like, duh, you fucking idiot. Yeah. No one's eating at McDonald's being like, wait, this doesn't have Michelin stars?
Yeah.
Like, I know. No duh. But like, yeah, I hate pretentiousness unless I'm going to a restaurant where like I actually want that,
right,
which is like a time and a place, but I can kind of turn it on and turn it off, like,
yeah, as most people should.
As much as I love like a pate on a nice croquette little piece of whatever blah 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 with like a hibiscus foam or whatever the fuck, I love that sometimes, and then other times I'm like, let me throw these dinosaur crumbly chicken nuggets into the microwave,
yes, and
just put
there's a time and a
barbecue
place
sauce on or honey mustard. Yeah, like
okay. I have a quick fact and then a quick story that you made me think of.
Okay.
Duff has made cakes for Barack Obama's second inaugural ball. Tom Clancy, the cast of Lost, the cast of 30 Rock, Sir Roger Moore, and for Katy Perry's birthday music video.
Wow.
Yeah. Also, he competed in season 7 of The Masked Singer.
That's fucking wild. They do get crazy people for that show. That's a show that I will never watch.
Same.
But
I don't
it is interesting finding out who's who and being like, oh, you're on that person went on the show? Like, weird. And then some people go on the show and I'm like, T-Pain, you're a singer.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
And an excellent one. Okay, really quick. You reminded me of it when you said you think you're better than me. Yesterday, I rolled through the Freddy's drive-thru.
Oh, yes.
They have excellent French fries. If you've never been to Freddy's, you should go. And Freddy's has 2 drive-thrus, like, next to each other. So
yeah.
And then they roll into one at the windows. You know, they merge into one.
Yes.
And the guy in front of me, an old guy, maybe like 60, 65, in a little car, he went, and then the guy in the other drive-thru, 30-something, big lifted Jeep, he went, but he like inched in front of the little old man in car. And I watched as old man got out of his car, slammed his door, and my window was rolled down. And he goes, so it was the Jeep guy's window was rolled down. He goes, hey, you think you're better than me? And the guy in the Jeep goes, what? And he goes, you think your order's more important than mine? He had a heavy New York accent, this guy.
Yeah.
You think your order's more important than mine? You think you can just roll up and cut me off? And the guy's like, I didn't cut you off. Get back in your car and sit down. And the guy's like, hey, you got a problem? You got a problem? And he like walks around the car to the other guy's window and he's like screaming in his window. And he yelled some very crude profanities about Guy and Jeep's mother. And just outrageous things that he was saying.
Yeah.
And I really was the whole time like, oh my God. And then Jeep guy went in front, and this guy was here, and he was like, F you, and he's like screaming like profanities.
Your mother.
And and the guy in the Jeep has his hand out the window, and he's just going like this. And I really was like, this old man's gonna jump into your car.
Yeah.
Like, you're egging him on.
Right.
It was crazy. Oh, at the Freddy's.
At the Freddy's.
Like,
which is a fast food
fighting
place for people
each other about French fries. Like, let's tone down the testosterone.
I know.
It was crazy.
So toxic.
Yeah. I can't believe people get that mad. Like, I get mad, but I just, like, internalize it and then let it go.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that serious ever.
No. And
like, you get mad for a second, and you're like, I can't believe this guy cut me off. Like, what an asshole. Anyway.
I have to wait 5 more minutes for my food.
Yeah,
my whole day's ruined.
It is.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But I had to tell you that because the first thing he said was, "You think you're better than me?"
Think you're better than me?
Like, oh my god.
Such a funny thing to say. Also, it's like, that makes me so happy to live in New Jersey because that exact story taking place in Florida or Texas, gunshots. Mm-hmm. That's all I can think about. That's why I don't fuck with road rage these days.
No.
Because I see too many things. Yeah, and like New Jersey's way better and like we actually have gun laws and stuff and like fucking it's so stupid. But yeah, you see all that time. I've seen so many stories, especially even in Florida or Texas, because they're so lax on shit. Like somebody gets mad at somebody and they're like, "Cool, I'm going to kill your whole family now."
Yeah.
I'm going to actually shoot your whole family. And you're like,
crazy.
What the hell? Like, God. Mm-hmm. At least this New Yorker was like, all I'm going to do, listen, buddy, you think you're better than me?
Yeah.
All I'm going to do is I'm going to slander your mother. And then I'm going to drive off. I'm going to eat my Freddy's. Come on. It makes me think of that thing. He was a great guy. What about the murders? What murders?
Yeah.
Did you know that sound is from people? They were interviewing New Yorkers about the arrest of John Gotti.
Oh, no. Wow.
That's what it was. They were going around John Gotti's neighborhood asking people.
Wow. If I lived in John Gotti's neighborhood, I would have also said, what murders?
It was crazy because everybody was like, he was a great guy. He helped out the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. He was helping people out. You know, like it's not going to be the same without him. It was really interesting.
Yep. That's what I would have said.
But yeah. So funny. Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. On to our number ones.
Yep.
Right? Number one for me is going to be one that I wouldn't be surprised if you don't know who this is.
Okay.
Only because like you weren't as big on Food Network as I am, and you're also not as much as like a foodie as me, where I like follow chefs.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like on Instagram, on TikTok, I like follow chefs. Like I follow cooking things because I'm like really into it. Mm-hmm. So this is a guy who started out on PBS and then eventually made his way over to Food Network. He has won Emmy Awards for some of his shows and been nominated multiple times. Raised in Dayton, Ohio. I hate you, Ohio. But
Josh literally said to me yesterday that he hates Ohio.
It's the worst.
Yeah. Anyway.
They call it a battleground state, but really it's like two brain cells fighting each other, trying to figure out what the hell they're doing. Anyway, my number one is Ming Tsai.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
First name Ming, last name Tsai. Tsai.
Okay.
You recently may have seen him on TikTok. He's big on TikTok these days. He just recently opened up a new business venture. I don't know if it's like a restaurant or if it's what the hell is it called? Like a food thing. I don't know exactly if it's just a product. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I'm under the impression that it's just a product, actually, and it's not necessarily like a restaurant. I think it's like a frozen thing that you can buy in the grocery stores and stuff like that. And if for some reason we're able to find it, I definitely want to get some.
Okay.
But they're called Ming's Bings.
Oh.
They're just like you know, like a meat pie, kind of like a Jamaican beef patty. Picture that. But on the outside is more like egg roll. And then on the inside is all different kinds of options depending on the flavors that you get and stuff like that. But it's all vegan.
Oh.
It's completely plant-based.
Okay.
Everything in it. He's even got like cheeseburger ones where he has people on the street and he's like, "Hey, do you want to try one?" Blah, blah, blah. And people will try it and like he doesn't even tell them first. They like eat it. He'll tell them like what flavor it is. And they'll eat it and they're like, every time that he gets somebody, they're like, "Oh my god, this is amazing!" And then he's like, "Yeah, it's plant-based," and they're like, "What?" Crazy. But all right, Ming Tsai, the reason that he's my number one is because I have such fond memories of staying up late at night. This is another one of those really late night ones. He had a show called East Meets West.
Okay.
Where he would sort of like take traditions and ingredients and styles of cooking, like techniques and stuff like that, of Eastern cuisine, like different types of Asian cuisines and stuff like that. And then he would take some Western stuff like American and English and stuff like that. And he would combine them into different recipes and stuff like that. And kind of really like doing a lot of fusion stuff. But yeah, he was on PBS for 20 years doing all different kinds of cooking shows and stuff like that. It's actually one of the longest running cooking-based shows that was ever on PBS.
Wow.
But then, yeah, he went over to Food Network eventually. And it's crazy. So he's always been cooking his entire life. His mom and dad owned a restaurant called Mandarin Kitchen. He learned all about restaurant life and operations and stuff like that, and making customers happy. And since that's obviously a pretty big important part of it. But then he did all kinds of crazy stuff. He actually got a mechanical engineering degree from Yale University, but then spent his summers at Le Cordon Bleu cooking school and apprenticing at different restaurants in Paris.
Wow.
So he was doing like all this different crazy stuff. So then he graduates from Yale. He moves to Paris, trains under renowned pastry chef Pierre Hermé.
Wow.
I imagine is how it's pronounced because it's like Herme, but it's French, so it's probably Hermé or something like that. And then goes on to Osaka to train with a sushi master, Kobayashi.
It's amazing.
What is going on? Returns to the United States, goes to he gets a master's degree from Cornell University in hotel administration and hospitality marketing.
Wow.
Amazing. Then he starts opening up all kinds of restaurants and stuff like that. He's in Boston and other places too, but Boston is where he opens his first restaurant, Blue Ginger, in 1998. It crushes it. Best new restaurant 1998. James Beard, Chef of the Year by Esquire, 3 stars from the Boston Globe. Absolutely crushing it.
Wow.
Zagat Guide is saying it's one of the top 5 best restaurants in the country at that time. He's receiving all kinds of awards. Absolutely freaking crushing it.
Amazing.
And it's just crazy because like I literally just remember staying up super late and watching his show and like really enjoying it and just like liking his. It was on at like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. kind of shit. So it was like, why would you even know what it is, you know? But yeah, he's always like so nice and so personable and like
love that.
He had a great way of explaining things and he was just cooking things that like you didn't see on other shows at the time. Like nowadays you go on Food Network and they have like every nationality under the sun represented, not literally represented, but like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They have a lot more. It's not just like Tyler Florence and Bobby Flay, like white guys doing their thing, you know? It was like, okay, we're actually getting some spice in here.
Yeah.
And Ming Tsai has just always been one of those figures for me. Like when he started popping up on my TikTok, it was through Ming's Bings, this new product that he's putting out, which by the way, it's actually really cute. The reason he started this thing was because in 2017, his wife, Polly, was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer.
Sad.
As they're like exploring things and checking things out and stuff like that, they decide to switch to a vegan diet as an extra form of
let's be healthy.
Yeah, it was just like
healthy choices.
Like in addition to all the literal medicine, let's actually view food as a little bit of a medicine also. So Ming was like, "Oh, at home I can crush this all day. I'm a chef. Like I can make vegan food delicious, no problem." But then he was disappointed with how few options there were in the grocery store.
Yeah.
When he would like have to go away for work or something like that, he was like, "This sucks. There's nothing good." So then he created Ming's Bings as a way to do it, and I just thought that was so cool. And he also proceeds from that when you buy Ming's Bings, proceeds go to 2 different organizations: the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute and Family Reach, which I don't know exactly what that is. I imagine that it's a cancer thing. Financial support for families facing cancer. Yeah. Aw. That's so cool.
Cute.
Absolutely amazing. Also, and this is funny. This is on his website. Fun fact: it says Ming made the list of People magazine's most beautiful people in 2000.
Wow.
Just wants people to know. I think that's really cute. He eventually opens up other restaurants. Blue Dragon is maybe the name of one. I'm almost positive that was the name of one. It is Blue Dragon. And then he's written 5 different cookbooks. He does all kinds of stuff. I'm just such a huge fan of Ming Tsai.
Wow, we have a beautiful philanthropist.
Yeah, I want nothing but the best for him and his entire family. And his website doesn't have updates on Polly's health, his wife's health. And I almost feel rude looking it up. So I'm just going to live in the bliss that she has made a full recovery. Yeah. And she is completely good. I'm just going to live in that truth.
Cute.
But that's my number 1, Ming Tsai.
Well, that's a great pick. A quick side note before I tell you my number 1. Cornell, I recently looked up what it takes to become a sommelier. And Cornell has certificate programs in different wines and different wine regions that you can take totally online for like $350 a month or something like that.
That's a lot.
It is a lot, but if I were pursuing that career, it's something I would invest in.
Do they send you wines? How do you do it 100% online? That's my question.
I don't know. I just briefly looked at it.
Have you ever seen what it takes to become a registered master sommelier?
I don't know.
It is. I watched a documentary on it.
Yeah.
I forget where it was. Yeah. Like if it was just on TV or if it was on like HBO or Netflix or something.
Yeah.
It was like a actual documentary, like an hour and a half at least, And it followed 3 people who were going for it. And it went through their journey. And, 2 of them make it, 1 of them doesn't. But it is nuts. And we're talking, they were already sommeliers.
Yeah.
This is, the top ranking that you could ever get. You have job security for the rest of your life as a sommelier if you get this ranking. Any restaurant in the world will be happy to take you.
Yeah.
And they talk about the whole process. There's the part where, they go to... there's the judges are sitting at a table, and you have to, almost pretend like you're... It's like a role play thing. You have to pretend like you're at the restaurant, and the judges will intentionally try and trip you up. They'll be like, oh, but I really want my red wine over ice. And the person has to be like, how do you have the customer service to kind of be like, okay, but then also, not... discredit your expertise in being actually, here's why you shouldn't do that. But if you really want, kind of that fine line, and then you have the blind taste testing. Bro, that shit amazes me.
I know.
How somebody can little smell, little taste, and then be like, okay, this one's an old world, so probably France.
Yeah,
we're thinking in the bourgeoisie region. And you're just like, what? And they're like, and it's probably by this farm. And you're like, oh my God.
I only saw some girl on TikTok who was a sommelier, in California somewhere, and she just, it was follow the day in my life as a sommelier working in blah, blah, whatever.
And you were like, maybe new career path.
And I just thought it was cool, so I just looked up, what it takes to become just a regular sommelier. Yeah. And I think that it would be very interesting to take classes just to see. But anyway, I just wanted to point that out.
It is interesting.
Are you ready for my number 1?
I'm ready for your number 1.
Do you have any idea of who it is?
Yeah.
Did you see my screen?
No.
You know who it is?
Yeah. Do you not believe me?
Who is it?
Pioneer Woman. Is it not?
No, it's not. Pioneer Woman is an honorable mention.
Oh.
I do love the Pioneer Woman.
Okay. Honorable mention, Pioneer Woman. For me, honorable mention, and this was because I actually really looked her up and was trying to figure out if she was on Food Network or if she was just a food personality who had a show. I know for a fact she had a show, but figuring out whether or not she was part of Food Network was a little challenging, and I didn't want to spend too much time on that. Julia Child.
Oh, yeah.
You have to give credit to Julia Child.
Yeah,
absolute powerhouse of not just the cooking and French food fields, but specifically TV personalities and stuff like that. Played by Meryl Streep and Julia.
Well, my number 1 is an absolute powerhouse of the food world and also of the Nickelodeon world.
Nickelodeon?
It is.
What the fuck?
Mark Summers.
Oh my God.
I love Mark Summers. He's not.
You said Double Dare before.
Yeah.
Earlier in the episode, you said Double Dare. Wow, gang, it's been here the whole time. She's been foreshadowing. Oh my goodness. I cannot fucking...
He's not a chef or a cook.
No,
he is
not.
a TV personality. And he was the host of a Food Network show called Unwrapped. And it was my favorite Food Network show. I loved it so much. It's a show that aired in 2001. And it led viewers on tours of factories and food-related locations to show you the origins of different foods. Amazing. So, like, how different candies, cereals, snacks, TV dinners are made.
Unwrapped?
Yeah, that's what the show was about.
Yeah. I remember that show. I actually really liked that show, too.
Oh, I loved it. It was so low stakes. It was so chill. It was just Mark Summers, who's incredibly likable.
Yes, he is.
Telling me how stuff is made.
He would show up on that show, What I Like to Eat or whatever the fuck.
The Best Thing I Ever Ate?
The Best Thing I Ever Ate. He would show up on there every once in a while, and I always be like, ooh, Mark Summers.
Yes, I love him.
What are you doing here?
He's so cute. He's best known for hosting Double Dare for Nickelodeon.
Double Dare. That show was dope, dude.
Which was an excellent show.
They should bring back shows like that.
They really should.
What are they doing with all these cartoons?
He was hired for Double Dare in 1986, which I can't believe Double Dare goes back that far.
I know. Dude,
but he has a very interesting background. He was born to a Jewish family and in Boston, and he consulted his rabbi about whether to pursue a career as a rabbi or as an entertainer. And the rabbi told him, quote,
Why not both?
As a rabbi, you can help a small congregation a lot. But as a performer, you can help a lot of people a little. End quote. Summers decided he preferred to help a lot of people a little. So he became a performer.
There you go.
He started as a radio DJ and a stand-up comedian, and then he got hired as the host of Double Dare in 1986.
Crazy. That's like 4 years before I was born.
This is crazy. This says, according to Summers, a ventriloquist friend of his was called for an interview to Double Dare, but having never heard of Nickelodeon, sent Summers in his place for the interview.
Insane. That's some universe shit, dude.
Yeah.
That's the stars aligning.
It's crazy. Wow. Summers was the first to interview for the job and was hired as both the host and a producer.
Amazing.
Yeah, they just loved him so much. He's just so...
That's so fucking cool.
Amazing. He did a ton of stuff. He's one of those guys that's like the host of everything.
Yeah.
He was the host of a show called Couch Potatoes, a Nickelodeon show called What Would You Do? A Nickelodeon Halloween program called Mystery Magical Special, which sounds adorable. He was also the host of several game shows: Scrabble, Super Password, Talk About, Lingo, To Tell the Truth, Win, Lose, or Draw, and Hollywood Squares.
Amazing.
He's just so cute. Also, he was very public about his struggles with OCD. Which I didn't know until looking up his life for this episode.
Yeah.
He went public about it on the Oprah Winfrey Show, and he produced a VHS box set called Everything in Its Place: My Trials and Triumphs with Obsessive Compulsive Disorder.
Wow.
Despite his OCD, he was able to fully interact with fans on Double Dare, allowing himself to get slimed, as well as shaking hands with the public. But going public with his OCD cost Summers a job as the host of Hollywood Squares Revival, and he was replaced by Tom Bergeron. Do you remember Tom Bergeron?
Tom Bergeron. That sounds so freaking familiar.
I think Tom Bergeron was also the host of America's Funniest Home Videos.
Oh, I know Tom Bergeron. I know Tom Bergeron, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. It looks like he might... I just Googled him. It looks like he might become the new host of Wheel of Fortune also.
Oh my god.
Crazy.
And then also quickly, a wild, not so fun fact about Mark Summers. In August 2012, he suffered severe head injuries while in an accident in a cab.
Oh, jeez.
He said, quote, everything on the left side of my face from my eye socket down was wiped out. My eye socket got all swollen. I have trouble seeing out of my left eye. I was pretty lucky that I didn't have brain damage. How crazy. And right now he's battling cancer, which is so sad. We love you, Mark Summers.
Come on, Mark Summers. We got you, baby.
But I love Unwrapped. It was my favorite show on Food Network.
Good.
I love Mark Summers.
Yeah.
I love Double Dare.
Double Dare was good. Not hosted by Mark Summers, but do you also remember the show Guts?
Yes.
Or even better, Global Guts?
Global Guts was my favorite.
Oh my god, I loved it so
because it was kids from other countries.
Yeah,
and I always
sick.
rooted for the other countries.
And fucking climbing the Astro Crag or whatever it was called.
Yes.
Hell yeah,
yes.
So good. That Legends of the Hidden Temple was always a blast because you got to play along. Guts, you never got to play along, but Double Dare and Legends of the Hidden Temple, you got to play along. At least a little bit. Legends of the Hidden Temple only had a couple parts that were trivia based.
Yeah.
Everything else was pretty physical. But man, watching those kids go through that temple at the end and being like, you idiot.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you? Why would you go that way? Yep. But then also realizing like how fucked up the show is, being like, we're not going to let you win.
Yeah.
We're not going to let you win. Oh, you're looking on the outside. It's like a dollhouse. You can see everything. We were like, oh, you think we were going to let you go straight route?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. That door's locked.
Yeah.
Go back up. And then the mean guy comes out of the tree and grabs you, and it's terrifying. Fucking nightmare fuel.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, that was fun.
Yeah.
That was good. I knew that this episode would be fun to do. Shout out to Tony, our cousin, for bringing up this idea. I think this was a brilliant idea. Would love to hear about his stuff. I know that Pioneer Woman will probably be on his list. Ina Garden definitely certainly will be. Guarnaschelli. What's her name? Yeah, she'll probably be there. Alex Guarnaschelli. What's the other one? Gia De Laurentiis?
Giada De Laurentiis.
Giada De Laurentiis.
She's a big mouth.
She has a huge
mouth. Love her though.
She got like really does like ear to ear.
Yeah.
She got like a Joker grin. Anyway, well, gang, it's been another fun one.
Yeah.
Again, hey, we're Hessy and Maven. Check us out. We're doing podcasts. We're doing YouTubes, TikToks. We're on Instagram. We're everywhere. At Hessy and Maven. One word, almost all the time. So just make sure to plug that in, okay? And then follow us on all of the stuff, all right? Thanks so much for tuning in to this week's episode of Hessy and Maven. Please tune in next time where we talk about something else.
Bye.